Hello and welcome to Property Mastermind podcast with Hilary Saxon and Bob Anderson, episode 112. This week, more foundations of success. We are talking, you never know who you will meet that will enhance your property development journey, and a few other topics that are thrown in here today. Bit of a mix. It's going to be pretty exciting. Let's jump on into episode 112. Hey, episode 112, welcome aboard. Great to have you listening. We really appreciate the listeners and we love all the feedback we get. So thank you so much. And please share this podcast. If you have a friend that's interested and you think, hey, you need to listen to these guys, pass it on. But anyway, episode 112, there's a midgie or something flying around. What was that, Bob?
I don't know, dive bombing mosquito or something.
Something was going on. I could sense my Kiwi blood.
Yep.
So today we're talking, like we discussed, we've already had a brief discussion.
Yeah.
About the people you meet and you never know who they are. But before we do,
yes,
what's your tip?
Never trust an atom.
Never trust. Why would we never trust an atom? Is this a tip? I feel like I'm being hijacked.
Well, they make up everything.
Ah, always the funny guy.
Well,
is that you being funny?
I didn't invent it. I found it.
Ah, nice. Bob, I'm kind of looking forward to today's episode.
Kind of.
Well.
Okay.
Because of how it came about, but before we get onto that,
okay.
Before we actually get started onto, it's a foundation of success, networking and meeting with people, and we're going to talk to reasons why and give some great examples. But before we do, I would really love for you to unpack where you see property development right now. As a property developer, 40 years developing, what you see going on, you live it, breathe it. Everything you do is property development. What do you see moving forward from now? So we're in August 2023.
Yep.
Yeah. What are you seeing?
Oh well, I mean, you've got to look at the drivers that are in the market. We've got to look at growth. So last year we had the correction that we had to have because of the big push up in values, and that's happened. And now we've had 7 months in a row of, and as far as the capital cities go, and regionals are pretty much the same, but we've had 7 months in a row of increased values, increased growth, small, yes, but positive. And so that's a good thing. So the market's sort of rebounding very gently. Interest rates, of course, that's been the big issue. And I feel like they've tapped out now. I mean, you can't rely on the banks for their wisdom, but I did see the other day where 3 of the 4 major banks have predicted that interest rate hikes have finished. The other one said there's one more 25 basis point. I think it was NAB. But anyway, be that as it may, I think it's done its dash. And if anything, and in fact, all 4 banks agreed that next year interest rates will come back a bit, and the year after they'll come back a bit. So they'll probably end up to about 2% below where they are now. But that's their prediction. We know how they stuffed it up pretty badly with their predictions in COVID, so you can't rely on them. But that's the general consensus anyway out there. So interest rates under control, inflation getting well and truly back under control. So property development. One of the things about property development is that it's not instant. So you buy a share today, you buy it on today's value. Tomorrow, it's got a different value, or maybe the same value. Property development, it's a long haul, particularly with building times these days. Even if something as simple as a duplex could be, by the time you get your approval and get the thing built, 20, 24 months. So if you buy a site today, you're not going to sell it probably for 2 years, on average, depending on how quick it is, depending on the type of project. I mean, if it's a simple little 2-lot subdivision, it'd be a lot quicker. But if we're talking about building something, e.g. duplex, small townhouse development, it's a couple of years before you have to sell it. So the point is, you're selling into a market in 2 years' time. What's the market going to be like in 2 years' time? Well, everyone suggests it's going to be even better than now. The price growth will continue. We've got a huge amount of overseas migration, particularly into Sydney and Melbourne. We've got the Olympics in Brisbane. We've got a lot of stuff happening, a lot of positive stuff happening. And so one would expect prices to be up a fair bit on where they are now. Build costs are fairly much under control. There's still, in some areas, a bit of a lag getting trades. Materials aren't too bad. Build times are longer than they used to be, for sure. We need to see them come back. But not a lot of price growth in construction. A lot of the big quantity surveyors firms are sort of predicting 3.5–4% increase in construction prices over 12 months. So we'll see a slight increase in build costs, we'll see a bigger increase in values, and just get used to interest rates. That's what they are. They're still a little bit below the 30-year average anyway. And look, you're not going to be selling anything for 2 years anyway. So the thing is today, though, finding sites that stack up today is a bit of work. So you have to know how to go about finding deals and how to go about doing your due diligence and your numbers and choose the right ones. But yeah, everybody I talk to in the property development sector is looking forward to the next couple of years.
Do you know what's interesting, Bob, when you just unpacked about build costs and how things are right now? If we think about the larger companies that have gone under, and what the media does is just scare the living bejeebers out of people.
Yeah.
But that's because of, like you're talking, something that happened a couple of years ago. They've bought in a particular market, they got locked into a price, build price
It's
went
mainly
up.
building companies that have gone broke rather than developers.
Oh, yeah, I
Although
meant building companies.
Some developers have gone down, that's true.
Yeah.
It's a lot of building companies. And even the few that are going down now, it didn't happen yesterday.
No, it happened 18 months
It's
ago.
a result of like 2 or 2.5 years
Yeah.
of high increases in build costs, them being unable to control their contract price. They might have gone in a bit tight on their pricing. That's sort of history now. We've seen all that. We've seen builders reneging on contracts. We've seen builders' margins slipping. Some of the big projects, the big high-rise developments in the capital cities, particularly the southern states, well, you might live in a southern state, Sydney, Melbourne, some of those big building companies are operating on 1.5% margin. They're scraping through, but that was a result of what happened 2 years ago. And so they'll get through it. But going forward, we don't have those same problems in the construction. And really, the construction industry needs a bit of an overhaul. I mean, I feel sad for anybody who goes broke, whether they're a developer or a builder, but it's mostly been builders that we've seen. But it's the market. It's been a bit of a shakeout. It's been something very unnatural. Never seen build prices increase the way they did in 40 years. But we're through that now.
And you're feeling positive.
Well, not just me. Plenty of people are
Yeah.
about moving forward, between now and the next 2 years.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, I think we can jump into our topic. I think maybe we should do that a bit more often, because depending on the topic that we're covering on the podcast. But today we're talking about, as a property developer, or even as a human being, you never know who you meet. Before we do, I want to give a big cheer to the Peavers. They were listening to our podcast a couple of weeks ago. They're mentoring students of ours. And when we said their name on the podcast, they were talking to Bob this morning, and they said, it was just really cool to hear. But it got them a little bit fired up, and they were on their way to talk to an investor, and the investor agreed to invest with them with their project. So that's really cool.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah, it is really cool.
All because they listened to the podcast on the way to talking to the investor.
Well, I think they were.
Was
They've had a bit.
99% of their success was based on that.
No, but I suppose for me it brings up when we encourage people, and I'm about to launch a second podcast, and I'll tell you about that another time. But I'm all about supporting people to do their best, to achieve, to believe in themselves, to just take the steps forward to have the life they want. We all deserve to have whatever we want, and we give up because things might get hard, and then we think we can't, or we get a few setbacks or a few knocks, or we have a relationship breakup, or whatever your reason is for losing that confidence. But when we get older, we forget to say to somebody, good on you, you just did such a great job.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to do more of that. So if you're listening to me now, whoever you are, where you are, and especially the Peavers, good on you.
Yay.
You're doing a great job, and just keep taking one step forward every day. And that's the only way to move the mountain, or to get up to the top. It's just taking one step at a time.
Yep.
I don't like to talk about eating elephants.
No. Even one mouthful.
No, I don't like to talk about, females and weight. Don't like talking about that. Anyway, Bob, we are talking about exploring.
You never know who you're going to run into or who you're going to meet, and the effect that can have on your life.
Oh, exactly. And the reason this podcast came up is it's on our list of podcasts that we'd like to talk about. And this morning I went to the gym, and I'm up early at 5. I came in and did a bit of work, cleaning out the inbox, do my morning ritual, go to the gym by 6. And I'm looking pretty average at 6 a.m. in the morning, babe?
I'm not saying anything.
And this guy says to me at the gym, "Hey Angus," he says he listens, "how you going, mate?" He goes, oh, you're Hillary, eh? And I'm like, oh no. He recognised who I was. And seriously, I don't even look like this. My phone doesn't recognise me in the morning on facial recognition. No, oh, I did kind of laugh. And then it made me think, you probably have to always be prepared. Maybe the days of going to the supermarket and your slippers are over.
Oh, you never know.
No.
You know, I bumped into people at Bunnings, at ATMs, in stationery stores, and a hotel one night when a guy grabbed me from behind. I could feel he was very big, and I sort of looked around. He said, "Bob Anderson." I thought, do I owe this guy money? and it turned out to be somebody who'd done our course a couple of years earlier and had done a really successful project. All he wanted to do was thank me.
Oh,
this is
how
at midnight
nice.
at a hotel on the dance floor, would you believe?
I would believe, yes.
You were there.
I know. So, that's the reason we are rolling with this topic today.
Yeah.
And I think what it also highlights is the importance of connecting with people.
Yep.
And just having conversations with people.
Oh, you're good at that.
I love having conversations with anybody.
Because you do. You're very much a what are you like? You have to
Connect.
Connect. You're a connector.
Yeah,
You've
I
got
like to connect with everybody.
Mm.
It's just a need that I have.
Yeah.
But what you find with that is the art of small talk, and any relationship begins with small talk. It has to, because you can't dive straight into anything.
Yeah, you can't ask somebody if they want to travel the other side of the world with you when you've barely met them or something like that. So it all starts with small talk.
Yeah, and whether that's about the weather or what you do or whatever, it has to begin there. And then from there, that can lead to the next step, which is bigger than small talk, but connection, communication, and finding out about what people do. And it's a great time, Bob, to bring up the old ratio. Remember the ratio?
Tell me.
Don't you know the ratio? You'd be surprised that I do.
Horatio?
No, ratio.
Horatio Hornblower? No, the ratio. Oh, okay.
No, we have one mouth and two ears. Use the ratio appropriately.
Okay.
So if you're meeting somebody, it's important to spend that time listening to them as well. I can go into a party, into a room, into anywhere. I will leave knowing pretty much everything about everybody.
You do.
And people are so... I think often, not everybody, but we can get a bit caught up with only talking about ourselves, and we forget
isn't that annoying when you meet somebody? They just keep wanting to swing the conversation back to themselves all the time.
Yeah, you just want to tap out and leave. It's like, where's the rescue man? Yeah. Someone come rescue me. So, Bob, give me an example. So that was my example there.
Yeah, that was a good one
Of
at the gym
meeting
this morning.
Angus. He said, you're constantly coming up on my feed as well. I was like, oh my goodness, well, advertising's working. Hello, Hillary from Property Mastermind here. Hey, just a quick advert here. We have around 20 mentoring students at any one time, and we often have great deals, or they're working on great deals that Bob is overseeing, and they need investors, and sometimes we look for investors. So if you're interested in investing in property developments with Bob Anderson, with mentoring students that we have, please feel free to contact us via admin@propertymastermind.com.au. We'll have a quick chat with you, look at your investment criteria and see if it matches what we're looking for, and who knows where that relationship might go. Okay, now back to the podcast. But where else have you? What has been a relationship you've had or connected with somebody which was very off chance that has been a bit of a game changer for property development for you?
Well, there's a few. There's one I often relate to people is I went to a class reunion. So we have a class reunion every year. All the guys, and it was a boys' school, so all the guys I went to school with, right through to year 12, some left in year 10, we have a big reunion every year. So this is going back probably to about 12 years ago, I guess, and I went to a reunion, and I was just, working my way around the room, talking to different guys I went to school with, and I came up and talked to one guy, and he was a senior policeman, and he said, I hadn't seen him for a while, actually. He hadn't been to, I was a regular at these things, but he hadn't been for, maybe 6 or 8 years. And he said, what are you up to? And I said, look, I'm into property development, that's my thing. And the conversation moved along, and he said, you need to meet so-and-so, a friend of mine. And she was a real estate agent, but she specialised in development sites. I said, I'd love to make the intro, I can't wait. That introduction to Lynn, was her name, turned into, I think, 7 projects, because she found a couple of sites for me, but she also knew people that she introduced me to, who then it's like the branch of a tree. And so that chance meeting. Well, was it really a chance meeting? I'm not sure. With a policeman who I went to school with, turned into a number of deals. Now, had I not gone to the reunion, I suppose that wouldn't have happened, which is always interesting, the old sliding door thing. But I was...
But plenty of people don't go to something
Yeah.
because they might be, say, they're into property. If it's not property related, they don't go. I'm always of the belief that you meet people everywhere. We all have more than one passion, one thing we do.
should.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I wasn't shy to say what I do.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've heard you have conversations with people who, just because they haven't done their first project yet, they feel like that, what's that syndrome? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And they don't tell people what they do, and they need to tell people what they do and what they're planning to do.
Do you know what, just you telling that story, and then the policeman guy, he connected you with Lynn, who had that the branch and the connections that you made from that. I had a phone call yesterday from Matt. Hey Matt, how you going? I know he listens. And when he was talking to me, I just got a feeling, because I'm kind of big on feelings, and I looked at where he told me where his development was, and I looked on the map because it's a great way for me to understand Australia if it's not an area where I'm close to. And then I thought, and you often hear me talk about Connie, and because he listens to the podcast, I said, do you hear me talking about Connie? I said, she's new to you, you should connect. And I got straight off the phone, rang Connie and said, I've got somebody you need to connect with, and who knows, and I hope that you guys do have coffee together. And I just, you just get a feeling that somebody should talk to somebody and you don't know why.
You're known to be a connector.
Yeah.
You are. You connect people. I see it all the time. You're connecting people for various reasons, But
Yeah.
you are.
But I think that even for me, barely knowing one person saying you should meet another person is beneficial to both of their relationship, from the conversation he was having with me, from what Connie does. They're both in the same area. And she said, I'll invite him to this and we'll do, whatever. And I thought, awesome. So I think if you are not even at an event, but maybe you meet somebody like the policeman said to meet Lynn, and then Lynn connected you with other people. That's very much an important part of a successful business, and especially a property development business.
Yeah. And when I cast my mind back to when I first got involved in property development, I mean, that was a sort of a chance meeting in a way. When I met Tony, and the story of Tony, I was working in a real estate agency that specialised in land subdivisions because I wanted to be a developer. I knew that, but I couldn't go directly to be a developer. There wasn't any courses on development. I knew, look, I've got to get into the property market. And I got a job basically selling land at land estates to people and builders and selling builders' houses. So I met Tony and I did my first deal, which was what we call a vendor finance deal. It's one of the creative strategies we teach, with Tony. Who actually showed me how to do it because I was young and silly, but I was 10 foot tall and bulletproof and bold.
Silly.
So I said, you remember those famous words I said to Tony, who had a site for sale? And I said, Tony, I'd love to develop that site myself. I just don't have enough money. And he showed me how I could do it with a lot less money.
And do you know
no money, as it turned out.
Do you know what that does, though? Well, when we're honest with people, you had the what's the word I'm looking for? You could be vulnerable enough to say, I'd like to do that, but I just don't have enough money. And I think probably when you are genuinely honest, people can read people. If you try and hide the truth. I had somebody, we've had enough people around us that, I'm not going to go down and open that can of worms, but when you know somebody is hiding something from you and you don't like it. No.
No, and you can feel it sometimes. So you're right. I mean, I knew what I wanted. I was open. I said it.
Yep.
And it worked out because Tony was quite a sophisticated person in property. And I think he respected my openness and my young naivety. And so that was you could say it was a chance meeting, but really I was bold enough to say something that turned into something good. So
even on another note, and we have people that come into our mentoring program, and because we only work with a limited amount of people, they get to connect with both you, they get to connect with me on a very regular basis. And that is sort of a similar way of being. It is a chance meeting. They take a they make a phone call or they connect with me by email. We have a conversation, and you choose to move forward or not, or we choose to take them on board or not. But it still takes that first step by somebody.
Yeah.
So even if we take this sort of chat from attending an event, it also can be by taking that first step, taking that first action, the positive step forward that you do, that as a game changer, which leads me to that whole everything I believe in. We have to take actions. We can't think about it forever.
Yeah.
The longer you think about it, the bigger your regrets will be.
Now, you don't want to be sitting on that rocking chair on the veranda.
No,
In
failing
the
the
last
rocking chair
years,
test.
that's what you call it.
Yeah.
In the last years of your life, looking back over your life and thinking about what I should have done or what I could have done or had I done this differently. You don't want to be doing that.
No, that's the last thing you want to be doing. I think we...
But what you do today will dictate you not having to have those negative conversations with yourself on the rocking chair.
Well, where you are right now, the
Right.
trajectory of your life is
Yeah.
because of all actions you've taken till this point. So if you aren't in a place that you want to be, you need to start taking different actions.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty much all there is to it. So, oh God, we're going a bit deep there today, Bob, aren't we? I also remember I was at a conference, a Toastmasters conference, because I'm a Toastmaster. Competition night tonight, so we have competitions once a year.
Yep.
Planning to win.
You will.
Planning to win.
You will win.
I compete in the humorous because I'm quite funny. Well, I think I am. And that's the main thing. If I go there thinking I'm funny, I probably will be. It takes a long time to prepare for a speech, though.
Well, you won several of those last year, all the way up the line. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting something similar this year.
Yeah, I want to get on that grand stage this year, which is next year. But anyway, you start qualifying now.
So,
But I was at a Toastmasters conference and I'm in the queue waiting for to get lunch.
Yep.
And I ended up chatting to a guy who was a builder, and that became a useful connection. So the same thing, who would have thought? Who would have thought that a young guy from Brisbane who's a builder would have been, we're up in Cairns, in a queue. So you just do not know, and it's just having that ability to start small talk, initiate it.
That reminds me, you mentioned Connie before.
Yep,
One of our most famous mentoring students.
famous, world famous.
She was on a plane to Cairns.
She was. There's something about going to Cairns. It was only recently. She
Struck up
texted
a
me.
conversation with somebody on the plane.
Yes. And they ended up making a connection because he was close by to her or something. I don't know the rest of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's a connector too, and we often say that. But I think what you realise is we have to put our phone down sometimes and have a few conversations, because we sit down and we're in a queue, we're in a bank, we're on an airplane, wherever we are, and we get our phone out and we disconnect. And it's so important that we get back to making that connection, because you never know who you will speak to. Bob got taught how to be a property developer and taught so much, and so you've got to make that effort, and then you have to start taking actions.
Yeah. So I'm sort of half laughing. I don't even know whether to say it, although you know the story. I went to Sydney probably 9 years ago or something like that, and a friend of mine who knew Donald Trump ended up having a drink. I didn't know he didn't even drink, but he drank soda water. But having a meeting with him and probably 40 minutes, and another guy I knew, not realising that I was talking to the future president of the United States, because at the time he was just Donald Trump. He was over with Robert Kiyosaki at the time, and love or hate him, it was an interesting experience.
Bob's got that photo of Bob and Donald Trump.
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
Where is that photo?
Oh, I don't show it too often.
Yeah, but you never know. It's a chance meeting that you've had. So
Yeah, it's
there
just
you go.
funny. Like, you never know. You go somewhere and you never know who you're going to bump into. So every day you should wake up with anticipation, because you don't know what's ahead.
No, you do not know.
And there can be so many good things. Just a chance phone call, a meeting, an introduction. Like, you just never know. That's why it's exciting to wake up. You You wake up before me, of course, but I still get excited to wake up.
Well, I just like to kick my day off nice and early. All right, Bob, I think before we wind up, there's a few things that I want to just fold off on or cover off on. We've got our workshop coming up at the beginning of November 3, 4, 5. If you're interested, it will sell out this year, so I wouldn't muck around. Contact me.
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's getting close to being full, so it is an amazing event. So just check in with me. My email address be at the bottom of this, or just go through admin@propertymastermind.com.au or Hillary@propertymastermind. It's just one L in Hillary. The other thing, this week's book, which is underneath my mic, so I'm going to have to lift it up to get it out. Oh, there it is. Property Millionaires Exposed, going out to Andrew Carmichael. We had a great chat this morning.
Andrew, well done.
So, sorry about that. Might have got a bit of a bump there. That's going out to Andrew. That is your gift today. Also, we've revamped the website. So if you have bought our online course in the past, just check that you still have your logins. And if you've got a problem, just contact us and we'll sort it out. Just that we've got a brand new website, which is looking pretty amazing, by the way, Bob.
I like it, yeah.
I love it.
Oh, I love it. I don't like
clarified a few things. So, yes, you haven't lost it. You haven't lost your access to the online course that is for life, but we might have to just set you back up. The odd person there's been a bit of a problem with, but we've fixed that, I hope. And also, we've got our property... our membership has kicked into the Property Accelerator. Has kicked into gear.
Yep.
We've relaunched that, and it is amazing. It is fantastic. So if you
nothing like the old one.
No, it's get in for $1, so you can check out the first month, and then it goes for 12 months, and it's a subscription. So if you want to know about that, jump on our website and have a look.
4 courses in one.
4 courses in one, getting started in property development, small subdivisions, renovations 101, and of course performance and mindset, because that is my baby.
Ooh, and that's what you got to have.
Oh, exactly. That is totally what you have. And lastly,
what do you got in your hand?
Oh, I have to give my book a plug. Oh, again, I keep hitting my mic. I'm so sorry. 3 Wines In. It will be out on Amazon on the 22nd of August. But if you want a copy, you can get one now at hillarysaxton.com. And I think all men need to buy one for their daughters and wives, as long as your daughter's over about, it's just kind of an 18 to 20 sort of, it's just about how to live with the confidence that you have after a small amount of alcohol without the alcohol, because no one wants to be drinking wine at 9 a.m. to have confidence. No. So it's a great book, and I would love you to get a copy. So if you want one of those, hillarysaxton.com, you can buy it there. And I think that's all, Bob. Have you got anything else in closing that you'd like to say?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this podcast.
just chitty chat. I think final words of advice would be just get out there, get collaborating.
Get collaborating. Don't be afraid to say who you are and what you're doing.
Yes. And we welcome all of you into our community when you are ready. So if you think anyone will enjoy listening to this piece, please feel free to hit share or let them know that we've got a bit of sense going on back here.
Yep.
Thanks, Bob. As usual.
You are welcome.
Okay. We'll catch you guys next week.
Okay.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.